And to all the devotees already with us, a big ki jai to you all, our obeisances, the beautiful family of sincere servitors, aspiring servitors to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, and to the holy Dham through the Parikrama of Sri Nabadwip Dham Parikrama. Hare Krishna. So quietly, the devotees are gathering together. And somebody saying, Audharya Devi Rasi from Ukraine. She's come for the shelter of Giriraj here in Vila Govinda Ashram. Yes, Sri Haripu raising his arms with a jai. Very good. And there's a convoy of devotees around and about, so we'll be receiving more presently. Hare Krishna. But today the convoy of the hearts of the devotees is coming to Sri Nabadwip Dham, where we shall be headed by Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadhut Maharaj, who has just arrived in Chiang Mai in Gupta Govardhan Temple. And they will be heading the program through the dust of Nabadwip Dham. In the meantime, today is the Adhivas day, and the devotees are gathering together. And it's so quiet. But this day in Nabadwip is a very busy day, because it is a day when everyone's coming together and meeting up sometimes for the first time in a few years, because it's not that every devotee sees every devotee every year. And so it's actually a very happy time of devotees coming together, and we are coming together here in Zoom and meeting up with each other. And Indubala's joined us also, good. Some didn't know. If you know others who would like to join but may not have the Zoom, anybody knows others who may like to join but don't have the link, then please give them the link, because we are happy that devotees will come together happily in Nabadwip. Chaitanya
tells Arjuna, Sukha, like happiness, distress, he said, Sita Ushna, like when it's cold or hot, you have to tolerate. Tolerate Bharata, these things.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
I hear the voice of Madhusudan Maharaj.
I'm
sorry. Must be time for the Gaur Purnima online parikrama.
Maharaj, we feel it is time. It is a very beautiful feeling around the world for the Gaurapanima, the expectation of what's to come on the Gaurapanima Parikrama. And no two parikramas are the same. And so even if we did put out year by year an invitation with the very same or similar day by day list, but everybody who knows that every parikrama, everybody who came knows that every parikrama had its unique characteristic and nature. So we are in 2022, and another unique characteristic and nature, with the devotees coming together, and many new devotees are also with us, I notice on the screen. And so maybe it's the first time for some, and maybe it's the how many times, 30th time for others, I do not know. But either way, it is a happy event, bringing devotees together for the satisfaction, actually, of Guru and Gauranga. But at the same time, of course, all the devotees becoming nourished too by the dust of Nabadwip Dham, and especially by the association of the Vaishnavas.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj, I remember at Chaitanya-charitamrita Mat, when it was going to be the first Nabadwip Dham Parikrama with the new infusion of Western devotees. So in anticipation of how many we're getting, the, like you say, the excitement, the festive atmosphere. So Srila Gurudev knows all these devotees will be coming to join, and he had to order bedding, etc., and he was very concerned about mosquito nets particularly, that would be there, and that was his worry, because they hadn't arrived yet. He had other things, but the mosquito nets. And so I was with Srila Guru Maharaj in the afternoon, and Srila Gurudev came up very excited and very happy, because that was the last part of that preparation puzzle that he needed. And he told Guru Maharaj, he said, the mosquito nets have arrived, now everyone will be happy. And Srila Guru Maharaj, he looked like this and he said, but the mosquito section, they will not be happy. And then I thought, like, how can he think of their unhappiness? Right? But that, and also it shows Guru Maharaj had a delightful sense of humor, but this ontological sort of humor that, like, even some concern expressed in that direction. And the beautiful deities here of Guru, Gauranga, Radha Govinda Sundarju, and Sri Giriraj Govardhan. Some, this time of year, the Chinese, what was it, on the 5th, the celebration of the insects. They have 24 seasons or some, and a celebration when all the insects come out of the ground. That's a celebration. And that was on March 5th. So we're in the throes of that right now. There's Krishna, still smiling, still playing his flute. And so, and we have to think about them. And Guru Maharaj, when he and Satish Prabhu cleared the land of Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat, we should remember Saki Charan Babu donated the land, but it was jungle. So Satish Prabhu, who you know, who later became Nayananda Das Babaji, he helped Guru Maharaj. They did the physical labor of clearing the land, but Guru Maharaj is always very concerned about the plants, the herbs, the creepers, the trees, not to unnecessarily displace or inconvenience them in any way, because he considered them residents of the Dham. This type of respect he's showing even for the animation, and can supply the shastric support for that. When this verse of Das Goswami that he liked, where he says, Yat kinchit trigumaki katamukam goshte samastamitat sarvananda mukunda doitam lilanukulam param. Das Goswami is saying, even the insects in the Dham we shall revere. Because why? He said they are mukunda doita, means they're dear to Mukunda. Why? Lilanukul. They're contributing to the delightful atmosphere, like we hear, you know, Kujat kokila hangsa sarasagana kire mayura kule, in Srinivas Acharya's prayer, talking about the sweet sound of the kokil, which we're hearing here now. You know, kokil, hangsa, the swans swimming in the ponds of the Jamuna, the different types of birds, bees, and we hear in the Bhagavatam, that's every, you know, Vaikunthir Pritivyadi Sakala Chinmoy, in the spiritual world, everything is not only conscious, but, need I say, Krishna conscious. So the trees are Krishna conscious, the creepers are Krishna conscious. In the Bhagavatam, there's a section describing Vaikuntha saying, the king of the bumblebees is madly engaged in Hari Katha, and everyone is sitting, and he's dancing with his bumblebee body, dancing and madly singing Hari Katha, relishing this nectarine substance, and everyone is enjoying that. So Das Goswami says, they're also contributing to Krishna Lila and should be respected. So you know as well, when sometimes the villagers, the locals in Nabadwip, they would come to the mat, they need some herb. like mantra Oshud and Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, I'm the healing herb. And it's in the mat. And so they're coming like Maharaj, and Gurudev dealing with them. So to take that herb, some plant from the mat, because Gurudev would say, Maharaj, they have come, and Guru Maharaj said, then they will take that and present that to Mahaprabhu. And with the permission of Mahaprabhu, they will take that and then they can use that for their medicinal purpose. But even that Hare Krishna, that herb was revered by Guru Maharaj as being part of the divine, sprung out from the divine soil of Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat, and was to be revered because of its connection to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Jai, beautiful, and Maharaj, beautiful description of the king of the bumblebees dancing.
Yes.
Wow.
It's there. Second count.
So Maharaj, the devotees basically have come together. So let us all give our obeisances to each other, but to also the deities, and to the deities of Nabadwip and to each other. And let us first of all also to say Jai Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj, who is heading up our program this year. Ki Jai, and Jai Srila Bhakti Bimala Avadhut Maharaj, who has arrived.
He'll be joining us shortly.
And as in Nabadwip, everyone arrives and we're trying to get them into their chairs and start the program nicely. So Avadhut Maharaj will be with us very soon. Srila Bhakti Bimala Avadhut Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai. And Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai. But most of all, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Bhaktivinod Thakur, Gauranga Das Babaji Maharaj, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. The Rupa Nuga guru-varga Ki Jai. And I'd just like to say these prayers to begin from Guru Maharaj's Prapanna-jivanamritam, because it will come, will appear in this inaugural discussion. He says, Guru Gaura Gandharva Govindang Gringanai Saha Vande Prasadato Yesham Sarar Ramba Subankara. He said, why is this deity Gandharva? She's the one who can extract the most ecstasy, right? Gandharva. And why is he Govinda? Because he is that ecstasy personified. So the two of them together, and then combine them, unthinkable, most beautiful thing, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who Guru Maharaj likes to glorify with the verse, Ananda-lila maya vigrahaya himavadivyachchavi sundaraya tasmai mahaprema rasa pradaya Chaitanya-charitamrita namo namaste. And Srila Saraswati Thakur, who re-inaugurated this Nabadwip Dham Parikrama and Sri Gaudiya Mat, we recall, first one, Srila Jiva, we'll hear in the Bhaktivinod Thakur's Nabadwip Dham Mahatmyam, Jiva Goswami and Nityananda Prabhu, right? Then later, or I should say Nityananda Prabhu and Srila Jiva Goswami. Then later, Narottam Thakur, Srinivas Acharya. Then we can understand other exalted souls are doing, but really revived by the Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha of Srila Saraswati Thakur and Sri Gaudiya Mat, and continued in Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat, right, by Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev. But in the next verse, so go and praising Saraswati Thakur, Chaitanya Saraswat. What is the Saraswata? That means from Mahaprabhu's conception to Srila Saraswati Thakur and his followers. That means Saraswat. Right? So, and who is he? The Gauravag Vigraha. Right? Mahaprabhu's teachings personified in a person moving in this world. Gauravag Vigraham Vande, Gaurangam, Gauravaibhavam, Gaura Sankirtanomatam, Gaura Karuna Sundaram. Then his next verse. When Krishna becomes guru, right? Normally guru is taking us to Krishna, and that's the most fine and wonderful thing. But then what if Krishna personally takes the position of guru? How will that come about? He says, Guru Gaura, guru-rupa harim gauram, radha ruchi ruchavritam. The guru-rupa of Krishna is Gauranga. And what is that? Radha ruchavritam, enveloped in the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. There, Srila Guru Maharaj says, Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundarju. Then, so Guru Rupa Harim Gauram, Radha Ruchi Ruchavritam, Nityam Nomi Nabadwipe, Nityam Nomi Nabadwipe, Nama Kirtana Nartanai, singing and dancing, Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Sundara Nagarabara, Nityam Nijer Namavi. And with the heart, enveloped by the heart of Srimati Radharani, taking the name of Krishna, and Guru Maharaj calls it Anandam with movement, ecstasy with movement, is how he described Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So Krishna, tasting the sweet, as Gauranga, tasting the sweetness of Krishna Nam, he can't contain himself. His ecstatic joy, and it's being expressed, and ecstatic dance, and thereby distributing to others. And just to include all the Vaishnavas, he says, Srimad Prabhu Padamboja Madhupebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Maharaj.
So Maharaj, from myself, and I'm sure all devotees with each other, let us give obeisances to each other, Maharaj, and to your
Vanchakalpa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
And at this time, really, in Nabadwip, there will be a lot of obeisances and affectionate embraces, avingana. As the devotees arrive one by one, we come together, give accommodation, give prasadam, and bring them to Gurudev so that they can come and be with Gurudev. And then now is actually, we see evening time in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, Gupta Govardhan temple, and in fact also evening time, the time essentially when also in Nabadwip, then this program will be starting. And Gurudev, each year, then he'll come downstairs, mostly, maybe the very last year, even last year, I think he did come downstairs too, but he'll come downstairs and he'll address the audience, even if for a short while, with much happiness, expressing his great happiness to see again the devotees gathered together in honor of Mahaprabhu's land, the land of Nabadwip, and of course in honor of Guru Maharaj and himself and everything that the mat stands for, which is the pure current of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which is the pure current of Rupa Goswami and Mahaprabhu. Maharaj, if it is suitable with you, I thought just to read part of the composition that Gurudev composed in the invitation for the Nabadwip Dham Parikrama, because it is, as always, I mean, a wonderful thing. And this he wrote when I was not even 1 year old. So this is March 1956. Srila Govinda Maharaj, well, he published this in Sri Gaudiya Darshan. And this was the invitation to Sri Nabadwip Dham Parikrama. So I won't give all the Bengali, but maybe a little bit just to get us started.
Yeah, the sweetness.
Brahmite hobe na ara e cha bhuvana anitya e deharate chadya mrityurapate hingsra shadhula purna sangsara kanana brahmite hobe na ara e chara bhuvana. And some of you maybe have the gist of that already from the words. And so I'll read the translation. You do not have to wander any longer in this miserable world, riding along the path of death in the chariot of this temporary body within the forest of material existence, which is filled with ferocious tigers. You do not have to wander any longer in this miserable world. And actually, Maharaj, I thought to read only like 3 verses towards the end. Then I kind of heard Gurudev saying, why you don't read all of it so much? With your permission, I'll read the other verses too, but the translation.
Please.
So thinking of Gurudev, I'm reading these other ones really. Getting married and pursuing the desires of youth, you have known the vow of household life in name only. Continuing in this way, birth after birth, circling about in household life, have you realized that the land of Maya is covered with thorns? In verse 3, still your mind is making arrangements to continue your wandering from country to country and village to village, when even now your desires have never been fulfilled. Still you are going to build a residence, a mere temporary inn, which lasts but a few days upon this earth. Hey, what's the word for hey? Oh, ore. It is ore. Hey. Ore Baba. Okay. Hey, how much longer will you wander in the darkness of Mahamaya's illusion in that temporary home? Your wife, sons, and family are worthless, temporary, and miserable. Will you find a jewel within a swamp, trench, or rubbish heap? Clasping your feet, I tell you this essential truth. So this is Gurudev, but this Gurudev's invitation to the parikrama. He's saying like this. So clasping your feet, I tell you this essential truth. You do not have to wander any longer. There is not one drop of the water of hope here. There is no hope of any solace, but only cries of distress here. The burdens of material existence are like a blazing fire. Then again, okay, the next verse, I'm going to read the verse, it's very short. It's the same, similar style. Brahmite hobe na ara samshara kanane aishona gorajana dake savajane. You do not have to wander any longer in the forest of material existence. The devotees of Gora call everyone, hey, listen, Aishona. Men and women, young and old, come immediately. Come to the divine abode made of wish-fulfilling gemstone, the land of Sri Gauranga's advent. Come and circumambulate this land in the company of loving devotees at the most auspicious time in life, that is the day of Sri Gauranga's advent. Circumambulate this divine abode, and your prolonged wandering throughout this universe for innumerable births will end. The disease of material existence will go away. All your suffering will be cut away, and you will attain Goloka on this earth. So call the devotees of Gauranga. Brahmite hobe na ara echara bhuvana. You do not have to wander any longer in this miserable world. What a beautiful invitation, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Yes. And so, if you think that means also he was 26 when he wrote that, approximately, which is even more astonishing. So, you know, it's divine, divine, divine. At 26 years of age, he wrote that. composed, because it's also poetry.
Maharaj, sometimes, and I've reflected on this in the past about Gurudev's coming to Guru Maharaj, that, you know, we have a little feeling sometimes. We meet someone and we already know that they're our family, and we've got like instant like recognition, or something just clicks with the devotees. Oh yes, we're Gurudev's family, we're Guru Maharaj's family, we're it's kind of the same birds of the same feather, if you like. But when Gurudev came to Guru Maharaj, he like already was, within a second, he's just there as his eternal servant. And he was composing this, other compositions, and also explaining Guru Maharaj's compositions within a few weeks and a few months of being with Guru Maharaj.
Right.
Exceptional.
So it reminds me of what Srila Guru Maharaj said when I was speaking about Bhaktivinod Thakur, because there's one narrative, a trajectory of the life of Bhaktivinod Thakur. Like it's a role or a lila of his to appear in Bengal at a particular time in this society and show this sort of gradual trajectory toward the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, like you said, from the Western Savior to the Eastern Savior. But my point was, I was saying, but you know, Jiva Dharma, Chaitanya-charitamrita, the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya-charitamrita, all of our songs, all the full wealth of Bhaktivinod Thakur, revealing Nabadwip Dham, etc. And saying, how could, that's not what you could achieve, like after you connect to Krishna consciousness, and then these things come out. And Guru Maharaj said, yes, he said, so we can only conclude that this was not recently acquired wealth, but that he descended from a higher plane to distribute this wealth. And the pastimes of his life play out in a particular way. So it's true, when Srila Gurudev came to Srila Guru Maharaj, this was already within him. And he will like us to say that Guru Maharaj, you know, say amplified, enhanced, and increased his divine wealth. But Guru Maharaj will tell us that he already had this level of wealth and spiritual substance within him. And as Srila Prabhupada says about meeting Saraswati Thakur, and you know, later, by the divine will and the divine way, we came in connection. So also Guru Maharaj says in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu that their devotees, he said, it's like hide and seek. From Krishna-lila, they all know each other, and then they descend in Gaura-lila, and it's like hide and seek. How do they recognize who they are? By particular devotional qualities that become expressed, and then they realize, oh, it's, you know, Sridham from the cowherd boy, or it's Subal, or like that. They're recognizing, because they're not appearing in the same form. So it's a kind of yoga-mayic hide and seek, where they're discovering the devotees. It's part of their play. So we prefer the narrative that our guru-varga has descended from the upper world in this plane and mercifully extended their connection to us. And Guru Maharaj said that will be most beneficial and helpful to the disciple to see Guru as Nitya Siddha and not Sadhan Siddha or Kripa Siddha, but Nitya Siddha, who descended in this plane. That sort of full faith, he said, will nourish the disciple the most. But in the case of Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, their divine pastimes and coming in connection with one another, and this partnership that they have of Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat, this eternal partnership, makes it very easy for us to think along these lines.
Jai. Oh, look.
There, you see, Gurudev, I mean, I know the original, Guru Maharaj is really like a child in the hands of Gurudev. And Gurudev, like the way people sort of flatter children and say many wonderful things to them. Gurudev's looking in the palm of, and Guru Maharaj looking at, and Guru Maharaj, oh, and this and that, and telling all these wonderful things that can be seen in the palm of Srila Guru Maharaj. Because he knows also that science, you know, of the planets and the palm and all.
This picture is this painting. It is on his wall in his veranda in Nabadwip up on the left side. And Gurudev liked this picture very much. And
Yes.
Goswami Maharaj has heard Gurudev describe about that, and other devotees also. You see Gurudev like very happy in his intimate pastime with Guru Maharaj. Jai.
Yes. And Guru Maharaj believes what Gurudev is saying fully. He has full faith in his interpretation. He won't say it himself, but if it comes from the mouth, the lotus mouth of Srila Gurudev, then Guru Maharaj can accept that sort of spiritual substance. But his Vaishnava humility may prevent that from being expressed on his own. But it's just a perfect representation of their sweetness. And observing this, when I came to Lotus Feet of Srila Guru Maharaj and seeing his interaction with Srila Gurudev, because I'd never seen this level of intimacy and love and affection. And Guru Maharaj told me, Dasya Rasa is not the only rasa in this relationship. And just for the record, footnote, Madhura Rasa, not. But he said, but Sakya Rasa, this can become the friend, can have friendly. And he said, and Vatsalya Rasa. And there you see Gurudev, we've observed the friendship aspect, but also the Vatsalya aspect of where he's the caregiver and guardian of Guru Maharaj, who we call the guardian of devotion. Gurudev is Guru Maharaj's guardian and looking after him.
Another example of that too is about the medicine and the doctors, that Gurudev would call good doctors to come to give a diagnosis of Guru Maharaj. The doctors will come, they'll prescribe some medicine. But Guru Maharaj wouldn't take any medicine unless Govinda Maharaj, he said, you take this medicine. Yes, then I'll take that medicine without hesitation. And that disturbed some of the doctors because they're saying, you're calling me for consultation, but you're not taking my medicine. And Govinda Maharaj saying, yes, you are very expert. And he kept their honor. He said, you are very expert. That's why I'm calling you. But I will see the medicine first before it comes to Gurudev. And Gurudev accepted, Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj accepted.
And we know bathing, Gurudev is bathing and he's very concerned about Srila Guru Maharaj's health. And we know this affinity he has with Shiva. And he's praying to Shiva for some medicine for Guru Maharaj. And he hears about Kalifas. And at that time, he didn't know what it was. And he said he went in the marketplace and he's asking, is there some medicine? Fas, Kalifas. I heard this. And they're going, yes. And that medicine, Guru Maharaj said, kept him alive for so many years. And you can hear on the tapes, Rama Didi, she would come with that. So Guru Maharaj may be giving a talk, and you'll hear it stop for a minute. And Rama Didi, very stealthily, quietly, she's coming forward, and he'll tell, Rama? And she'll go, Fos. And then, and it's in a little shot glass, and Guru Maharaj, he'd always go like this. And then take a cloth, and then continue his Hari Katha and Gaur Katha. but he attributed that medicine that Gurudev got in deep meditation from Shiva to have saved his life, to kept him longer with us.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Gangadhar
Sada Shiva.
Jai. So Maharaj, we have gathered here together at that very place which we just saw, means Chaitanya-charitamrita, Nabadwip Dham.
Yes.
And also, even today, this day of the Adhivas, it is a culmination of not just 1 or 2 days of preparation, but for the last probably 6 weeks, devotees will have been out going village to village, doing programs, but doing programs and collecting rice, collecting dal, collecting funds for the Guru-rupa program. So for many devotees, they will have come back like yesterday or the day before, after quite an extensive time of austerity in the countryside of Bengal. But
Yes.
everybody who went, they, first of all, number one, they'll never forget that experience. But number two, however much like austerity there was in doing those collections, everybody comes back glowing, and they all remember those days affectionately. And like we retell them, we visit devotees around the world, and they say, oh, I went to collecting with Acharya Maharaj, we went to this place, that place.
Yeah.
And at the time,
but also, just to add, that Srila Gurudev himself, he did this.
He did.
It's not that just we were told to do this, but he himself did that. As we hear, and the Guru Maharaj told a story where he went to the village where there's always a head babu in every village, and this one was a notorious miser so he's the wealthiest man in the village, and he's a notorious miser. And so the local boys, they wanted to see Srila Gurudev humiliated by not getting anything from him. And they were teasing him on the way in, and he said, I will leave with a cartload. And they're like, oh, we've got to see this. And they follow him there. And that man who never gave anything to anyone gave a cartload of rice to Srila Gurudev, and much to the chagrin of the local village boys. And they're saying, Babu, why are you doing it? You never give anything to anyone. And that's when he said, he filled my heart with supernatural joy. I would have given him more. So just to say, so he did this himself, and the tradition was carried on.
And he did himself. And he said all the way up until when actually Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, passed away. And then he said, then my life became so busy that the parikramas, the collection, all those things, then others then started to take over. And I mean, he gave that charge to the others who kept in the same field. Each of the Gaudiya mats had like a particular area where they traditionally would collect and do programs, so that they're not stepping on each other's toes. And this continued. And probably yourself, Maharaj, and certainly myself too, we've had really the privilege of being able to go out on those collections. And in Guru Maharaj's time, with Haricharan Prabhu and other exalted devotees. And it was that time very much by foot, not, we didn't have any van or bus or anything to go. And it was a happy time for us also.
Maharaj, they had buses when you were younger.
But they didn't have it like a temple bus. So
where we're going, okay, all right. Because you're not that old. I mean.
No, Mark, they had buses, but we went village to village by foot.
I understand, yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj, I'm here Dasanudas, and wishing to be of service, and we're sort of setting the scene.
I'm also wishing of being of service. And I feel the necessity to say something about Gauranga Mahaprabhu.
Maharaj.
And just forgive me if it's a little philosophical, but Guru Maharaj expects that at these times there's a little foundation, and then things will continue from there.
Certainly, Maharaj,
but,
yes.
But try to, so like how to express this simply. So, and with due respect to Jai Srila Bhaktivinod Avadhut Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
So, Guru Maharaj likes to quote this Upanishadic saying, Yasmin vigyate sarvam eva vigyatam bhavati. Inquire about that one thing upon knowing which everything is known. Upon attaining which everything is God, etc. So we can see that these are abstract terms. That's why they deal, the Upanishads, Vedas, somewhat in an abstract way. But still, the point is being made there. What is that one thing upon knowing which everything is known? So, Guru Maharaj likes to quote this song. We mentioned Nayanananda. There's a famous Vaishnava poet named Nayanananda. And in this poem, he's saying, what those who know the 6 darshans, the 6 different philosophical systems of India, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, he's saying, if they don't understand that Gauranga is the essence of everything, they're wasting their time. And he has this beautiful poetic expression. He says, what use is a mirror for a blind man? That expression he says. What is the use of a mirror for a blind man? Then he said, so if you, and we say, well, oh, those are those great scholars, they know so many things, but he takes it in, so he's already dealt with them. And then he turns to the rest of us who don't know the 6 different philosophical systems and all these great, and he said, if you don't know anything, you don't know anything. He said, just know one thing, that Gauranga, he's the essence of everything. And just by knowing that one thing, you will get everything. That's what Nayanananda says in his song. And we think, well, but what about Radha and Krishna? If you know Gauranga, you get Radha and Krishna. If you have Gauranga, you get everything. That's what he's telling us. So when Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is making Sri Chaitanya-charitamritam, remember, Vrindavan Das Thakur, as we will hear when we go on the Parikrama at the end, his Chaitanya Bhagavat, considered to be the biographer of the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And Kaviraj Goswami will say, whatever Vrindavan Das says is wonderful and cannot be improved upon. But there may be certain things that he didn't describe that I will say. But if he already described something, then not necessary for me. That would be indirectly, arrogant on my part or an offense. So if he describes something in detail, I may mention it in summary, but there are certain things he didn't say, and that will be the subject matter of this book. But it begins, the very first 2 words of Sri Chaitanya-charitamritam are Bande Gurun. Right? That means, Gurun means plural of gurus, saying, I offer my obeisances to my gurus. Right? Plural. Bande Gurun, Isha Bhaktan, Ishan, Ishavatarakan, Tat Prakasham, Chati, Krishna Chaitanya Samyakam. And then Bande Sri Krishna, Nityanando, Sahodito, Godo, Pushpavanto, Chitra, Sando, Tamonudo. And he's saying, and now Nitai and Gauranga have risen like the simultaneous rising of the sun and moon to illumine all directions and eliminate all darkness and ignorance. Right? So that's how he starts, by naming who is his Ishta Devata. But after that, then this is interesting that he says, so what has been described in the Upanishads as Brahman and elsewhere as Paramatma, he's saying that is but the effulgence of Sri Chaitanya Dev. He is all of those things. Because we will say, before that, that in the Brahma Samhita, spoken by no less than the creator Brahma, who's an Ishvara, right? Controller. What is the first line? Ishvara. He's an Ishvara, and he's saying, of all these Ishvaras, the Parameshvara, the supreme controller, is Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. And is he some abstract, impersonal force? No. Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He's eternal, omnipotent, and he's ecstasy personified. And Anadiradir Govinda, what's his original form? Govinda, who's fulfilling all the aspirations of the senses, the total full sensual experience of infinite sight beauty, sound beauty, taste beauty, form beauty. He's the Sarva Karana Karanam, the supreme cause of all causes of everything. So that's a given in this line. But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, in the beginning of Chaitanya-charitamritam, Mahaprabhu is all of that, and you could say it this way, he's all of that and more. How can you be more than that infinite? If the combination of Radha and Krishna, that's why Nayananda can say with great certainty, if you get Gauranga, you get everything. So he means to introduce us to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's saying, Bhagavatam, Vedanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajganam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabhyate. The Brahman, the greater than the greatest aspect of the infinite, Paramatma, smaller than the smallest. So the target of Brahmavadi, the target of yogis, who is Krishna? The central conception of the infinite, right? All attractive, reality the beautiful, ecstasy personified, love and affection personified, who's reciprocating love and affection. That is Krishna. So then we're told that that Krishna, and for those in the Chaitanya-charitamrita class heard in the morning, these descriptions recently of the Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, etc. So he expounds himself in such a way as to create the material creation. Right? Mahavishnu, innumerable universes are coming out of the pores of his divine form. And as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, entering into them, and from the Garbhodak ocean and the bottom of each universe, from his navel comes a lotus flower, which the creator, Brahma, that Ishvara Parama Krishna writing Brahma, appears. And then within the heart of every living being, Kiradakshai Vishnu. So, and then he describes so many avatars will appear by divine mercy to come and reclaim the fallen souls, right? And Jayadev Goswami has described them in his Gita Govinda and the Dash avatars. Sutta Goswami, Sukadev Goswami, they've described in the Bhagavatam the different avatars and saying they are as innumerable as the waves of the ocean. So sometimes we hear these people say, there's this one narrative they throw around. They say, God made the universe and then he forgot about us. Right? No. How many avatars divine descent in this plane? As innumerable as the waves of the ocean. Right? And so we're told, and this Brahma, right, that Ishvara, that Lord of each universe, lives for 100 years. What are 100 years of Brahma? 311 trillion years, approximately. right? 311 trillion years is a 100-year period of Brahma. So then we come to, well, within, there's a year of Brahma, then there's a day of Brahma. A day of Brahma, described in Bhagavad Gita, Sahasra Yuga Parjantam Ahor Yad Brahmano Vidu. 1,000 yuga cycles, meaning Satya, Dwarpara, Treta, Kali. This is the normal cycle. 1,000 of them makes a day of Brahma. Then we're told, so, and within this day of Brahma, there are 14 manus, manvantars, and each one reigns for approximately 72 Dibya yugas, or of these of 4. Right? So then what are we told? So 14, right? And this day of Brahma. 7th, that means around, I guess you could say noon, midday, right? If there's 14 and the 7th one, midday in a day of Brahma. And this, well, there are avatars descending as innumerable as the waves of the ocean. And the 7th Manu, his name is Vaivaswata Manu. And he's got 72 of these Dibya Yugas, the 4. In the 28th of the 72, Dwarpara Yuga and Treta Yuga reverse their positions. Right? Because see, normally it's Satya, Dwarpara, Dwa means 2, right? In Russian, similar. Treta, 3, Kali is the 4th one. He's saying, but in the 28th millennium of this Vaivaswata Manu, Dwarpa and Treta reverse. So it goes Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and then Dwarpara Yuga. And he's saying, in that Dwarpara Yuga, Svayam Bhagavan Krishna, not just a Lila avatar or Yuga avatar, Svayam Bhagavan Krishna, the Anadir Adir Govinda, the original of the originals, who's the source of all of these avatars, he comes at that time. And at that time, he, with this select group, he's having his rasa pastimes. And we can understand that there's certain super exalted, liberated souls. Still there's a gradation, they're being given entrance. Right? So he's coming with his own group and displaying his pastimes, the divine love with Srimati Radharani, the Braja Gopis, the cowherd boys, Nanda Yashoda, etc., and Vrindavan. And if we listen to Vishwanath, we'll hear, and some super exalted, liberated souls are also entering, making their entrance in those pastimes, 125 years in this universe, 125 in the next, etc. They're going, what did Guru Maharaj say, like, dress rehearsal from Swarup City to Vastu City, qualified and then posted. So this is their entrance way, but still super exalted, liberated souls. At that time, when Krishna is interacting with the Braja Gopis, and this is in the Bhagavatam, and this is, everything I'm saying to you is in Charitamritam, but been extracted from Bhagavatam and elsewhere. We're told when Krishna says, he made a promise in Bhagavad Gita, Yeyatam mam prapadyante tamstateva bhajamyaham, that devotion, love, it's reciprocal. The way you deal with me, I reciprocate that, right? Because sometimes I wonder, like, I'm not doing too well on this. You know? But Krishna's saying, as you surrender to me, I reward them accordingly, given in Prabhupada's Gita. But he says in the Bhagavatam, when he's dealing with the Braja Gopis, he's saying, they made me break my promise. I promise that the way you surrender yourself to me, I reciprocate this. He's saying, but the Gopi Prem, the Gopi Bhav, is so pure and astonishingly wonderful that even if I give my entire self, and I'm the sum total of the infinite, if I give my entire self to them, it won't be commensurate, it won't be reciprocal to the kind of love that they possess in their hearts. Naparayam niravadya samyujam. That Krishna says this. This comes from Sri Krishna. He's saying, I can't reciprocate the level of the type of pure love that is in their hearts. Right? But so he's perplexed what to do. And that's the origin of, let virtue be its own reward. So he's saying, Mayi bhaktir hibhutanam amritatvaya kalpate dishyam madasin matsneho bhavatinam madapana. Krishna tells Radharani and Braja Gopis when they come Kurukshetra, he's saying, I never forget you for a moment. Actually, I never leave Vrindavan. It's through the Vishnu expansions. You can read about it in the Laghu Bhagavatamritam. That's how this is all playing out. Actually, I never leave. I'm always with you. But that said, he said, everyone thinks if they get connection with me, like that Upanishad, try for that one thing, yasmen prapte sarvami, get that one thing, upon getting, you get everything. He said, it's true. He said, but what about me? That's true for everyone else. What about me? He said, I consider myself fortunate that I am the object of the pure love that is in your hearts. That's my position. For I'm the treasure for everyone else, you're the treasure for me. You're the treasure of my heart. Radharani is the queen of the heart of Govinda, right? As acknowledged by him. But this perplexing situation is there, how to reciprocate that which is beyond being reciprocated. So Srila Guru Maharaj comes to our aid and says that Krishna thinks, well, if I will celebrate your love, I will descend into the world and I'm going to tell the whole world how great is the love that's in the heart of Radharani and the Braja Gopis. And in that, it's so wonderful and so charming and compelling. I want to experience it myself. So that which this Guru Maharaj is telling, awakened in him, and Kaviraj Goswami is saying, you could say during the Krishna-lila pastimes, then he's thinking in the future to come as Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And it's celebrated in the song of Basu goes, Jadi Gaurna hoita tabiki hoita, Kamani daritam dehe, Radhar mahima prema rasa sima jagata janatake. That if Gauranga had not come, we wouldn't have known the Radhar Mahima, the greatness of the love of Srimati Radharani, and the limits of that limitless Krishna Prem known as Mahabhav. So Srila Rupa Goswami is telling us that Krishna, who's been described as Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, he has now come as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what does Kaviraj Goswami say to establish it? He quotes Rupa Goswami. Remember, he's pulling from what he got from Das Goswami, the diary of Srup Damodar, Raghunath Das Goswami, and of course, Srila Rupa Goswami. So first he quotes Rupa Goswami, Anarpita charim chirat korna avatarana kulo, samarpaitam unatodvala rasam swabhakti sriyam. Saying he's doing something that's never been done before. Because what he means to say is, those super qualified who they have Krishna Prem and Krishna, now the unqualified are going to be given access to the highest divine substance. Samarpaitam unatodvala samsobhakti hari purata sundar duti kadamba sandipita sadahridaya kandare spuratu ba sachinandana. Right? It's when Mahaprabhu asked Rupa Goswami about his poetry, he said, I hear you're writing some books, and there's some very beautiful slokas in there. I'd like all the devotees that when he's introducing Rupa and really indicating that it will be the Rupa Nuga line, shining a devotional spotlight on the position of Srila Rupa Goswami. So he's saying, so Rupa, in your book, the books always begin where you indicate who your Ishta Devata is, your worshipable Lord. Could you tell us about that? And he says, Anarpita Va Sachinandana. He said, who's my Ishta Devata? You are. He doesn't want to say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says Sachinandan, the son of Mother Sachi. That's very sweet. Gurudev liked it in the Garga Sangita in the beginning, that Garga Rishi didn't give some big sloka about Veda Vyas. He said, the son of the fisher girl. That melted the heart of Gurudev. He liked that very much, that he mentioned his mother in that way. So what does Rupa Goswami say? Who's my worshipable Lord? Sachinandan. Sachinandan Gaurahari. Jai Dao, Jai Dao. That's Sachinandan. And Mahaprabhu saying, Ati Stuti Koreta. Too much glorification is another type of ninda. Could we move on to another sloka? But it's that sloka that Kaviraj Goswami gives in the beginning to say, so this is inconceivably wonderful what he's come to do. But then he will mention, he'll say, just as Krishna, when Krishna descends, Paritranaya Sarunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam Dharma Sangstapanartaya Sambhabami Juge Juge. But to, how do you say, annihilate the demons, the miscreants, and protect the devotees, reestablish the principles of religion. It's mentioned that, remember, Krishna is the flute player. Rasaraj, Rasika Shekhar, Krishna. This demon killing, we're told, is really a secondary aspect performed by Vishnu, who we see with the club and the chakra. Not Krishna, not Svayam Bhagavan Krishna, but by a secondary aspect of him is performing those activities. Rupa Goswami is revealing this, it's mentioned in Charitamritam. But the reason Kaviraj Goswami mentions that there is saying, so this is understood and known by the devotees. Then he's saying, but in a similar way, Mahaprabhu, he has a primary reason for his descent and a secondary reason for his descent. He's saying the secondary aspect of his descent, Bahiranga Sangha Kore, Nama Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan with the devotees, distributing Krishna Prem in that way, fulfilling the, the obligations of the Yuga avatar. He's saying, but he has a primary reason for his descent, a personal reason, a private reason. And what is that? He said, that comes, I give the Rupa Goswami sloka in the general, then what comes? Srup Damodar, Radha Krishna, Vikritir Hladini Shakti Razmad, Ekat Manavapi Bhubi, Deham Gadoto, Chaitanyaktam, Radha Baba Duti Subalitam Nomi Krishna Surupam. He's saying, really, the internal reason is he is enveloped in the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani, and he wants to experience her position. Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayeva. He wants to experience the type of divine love and Krishna Prem that she alone possesses. So, and he says, three reasons. That, to taste what she's tasting, and to experience the type of ecstasy she experiences, particularly when feeling separation from Krishna. So this is the way in which Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is telling us, laying the foundation for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? And so back to the original thing. So Nayanananda, in his song that Guru Maharaj is quoting, he's telling us the truth when he says, if you know nothing else, if you know that Gauranga is the essence of everything, then you will know everything and you will get everything. So just to conclude my part, and Maharaj can speak. So Guru Maharaj would say, like to the end of Madhya-lila, he said, oh, these slokas are very favorite to Srila Govinda Maharaj. And what does he say? He draws a comparison between Krishna-lila and Gaur-lila. Krishna-lila-mrita sar, tar, shata-shatadar, dastika jahat hoite, se chaitanya-lila hoy, sorovara akshoy, mana hangsa charaha tahate. saying Krishna Lila is the creme de la creme of nectarine substance. And as we mentioned, reserved for the highest section of liberated souls. Then what is Gaur Lila? He's saying it is the magnanimous distribution of Krishna Lila. Das Dike means in all directions, implying those who are not supremely qualified. It's being extended to them. So Rupa Goswami says, Namo Mahavananaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaur Tishe Nama. When a devotee said to Guru Maharaj, this, it just doesn't seem fair. You know, it seems like lopsided in a sense, like that such a wonderful thing is being gifted to the unqualified, most fallen souls. And Guru Maharaj's response was, this is the very nature of Gauranga avatar. He said, what should he do? Distribute some stone chips? He said, no, but not only something valuable, but what he himself considers to be the most valuable. He'll take the highest thing, of which there is nothing higher, and distribute that to the lowest, of whom there is nothing lower. He said, that is the magnanimity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Graves, Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Sundara Nagavar, Nityam Nijar Navadvip, Sri Nabadwip Dham Parikrama Ki Jai. Maharaj. Jai.
Well, I mean, after such elaborate description, it would be very difficult to add something. However, we all know the word Ananta. Ananta means infinite. But there's interesting name of Ananta Shesh, because in Indian mathematics, it says infinite, Ananta, and Shesh, what is remain of infinite. So what is remain of infinite is obviously not an infinite. Therefore, we can call it Ananta Shesh, which means infinite, and what is remain, just like Achintya, Achintya, Veda, Nipuna. There's Chintya, but there's also Achintya. So when we're dealing with all these topics which Maharaj described, obviously we're dealing with something like Chintya, like conceivable, and difficult to conceive, but from Vedic point of view, we can understand there are so many, avatars of Supreme Lord, and there's so many yugas, and there's so many pastimes. However, we spoke today with Goswami Maharaj, and he said some people trying to find connections which is not obvious between things. Maybe in material world it's difficult to find because we have to think everything is connected, but they're different connected karmically or circumstantially, and sometimes you have so-called lost connection in between evolution. It's like it's very difficult to find something in between a human and a monkey. So you have to make up in your mind what could be connecting both. And you can say, maybe love or, some unbound connection. But when we deal with Ramachandra, Krishna, Mahaprabhu, then it's a different logic to apply. Like I was traveling in South India in Sri Rangam, and it appeared to be everything you say up to Krishna's time, it's like very new. So when you deal with Krishna pastimes, they would say, well, this is just 5,000 years ago. And they would talk about this temple is since Ramachandra time, and this place is since Satyuga, and this rishi lived, and God knows where. So at a certain point, we can say Krishna, from point of view, this is a very recent occasion, just like what Maharaj said. If we're speaking about millions of billions of trillions of years, and we're talking about midday of, Vyavasvata Manu, this Manvantara, it appeared to be almost infinite when we talk about all this. We can't even really compare the time. We can say, well, if moon is size of a watermelon, then, then Venus is the size of, football. And then we can, okay, I can compare it. But how can we compare Krishna or any avatar? And also, how can we find connections with them? And the connection is given by our gurus, like Ramachandra coming to Navadvip with Sita, and she felt something amazing. And she said, why is that in this place? I feel something I never felt before. And Ramachandra revealing to Sita who is his beloved consort, the confidential story. When I come as Mahaprabhu, I will worship, you will worship my wooden deity, which is Mahaprabhu Dameshwar. And while Ravana will take you, I will end up worshiping your golden murti as a Sita on sacrifice, where thousands of Sita would appear. So such a confidential things we can't even understand. If Bhaktivinod Thakur or any of our gurus would not reveal to them, they would be kept unknown to the rest of the world. Just like when we go to Parikrama, we go to Suvarna Vihar, and there's a big hill, and the Bhaktivinod said it used to be the palace of great King Suvarna. When they started building Suvarna Vihar Gaudiya Math, they discovered the whole kalends and things. So what Bhaktivinod Thakur said, it proved to be real story, not some kind of a hoax or some kind of a made-up thing. But we can say it's revelation based. It's all revelation based. So when Ramachandra liberates Sita, she said, how is it possible that for love of me you had to kill so many people and so many asuras? And all this, Vanaras and Asuras, they all have wives, children. So are you trying to say that for love, men and women, such a sacrifice can be done in this world? And Ramachandra said, well, I just did to follow my duty. And Sita said, if there's such a high price to follow duty, what is the value of duty? Then obviously in Mahabharata, there's a very great moment before battlefield begin when Yudhishthira running to Bhishma and telling, please forgive me, grandfather, for fighting with you. And he said, you have the duty, and that means everybody have to pay to the duty. Duty do not have duty to anybody else. In other words, he's explaining to Yudhishthira that there's a duty above our mundane relationships and our affection and love. We just all have to follow duty. So we are following our duties. And it's an interesting thing. Krishna is telling, whatever I am, there's a truth. So if there is a truth, I am there. And the whole Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata is about duty, how to follow the duty, how to sacrifice yourself for the honor of duty. And we just had the Bhagavad Gita talk with Rasananda, and devotees were speaking in Ukraine, how difficult it is to live in the time of war, where you have to apply all the spiritual knowledge into your understanding. But then the second part of discussion that we moved, what is higher than duty is mercy. So higher than duty, higher than justice is divine mercy. And it's interesting, one devotee said, but also mercy including duty, it's observing duty. It's not just like mercy dutiless, but forgiveness and love and affection, that's the highest expression of duty. Whether you see Ramayana or Mahabharata. So it's an interesting, Krishna promised to Rama promised to Sita, next life I'm not going to kill. But then again, he killed the demons. And Radharani said, well, you promised not to kill. And he said, well, I didn't use my weapons. I killed the demons with my hands. And she said, well, in your next life again, what are you going to do? He said, next life, I promise you, I'm not coming to kill anyone. And Ramachandra said, and Radharani said, how is it possible in your nature? He said, well, because I will extend my weapon as a kirtan. When I come to Kali Yuga, with the most ignorant and and we see the outcome of what's going on in the world is absolute ignorance. We can all understand everything what we see in the world is play of ignorance. Nothing by ignorance. I'm this, I'm that, I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm Russian, I'm Ukrainian. Everything what's going on based on humans' ignorance and misunderstanding of their divine nature. So it's an interesting way. In this world of mercy, which is above justice, Mahaprabhu is coming with the most amazing form, and not considering what it says, famous sloka, where you say, Nityananda Prabhu, he's not considering, right, he's not considering whether you qualified or not. He's not considering what's your background. He's not considering how much, you appreciate Vedas. You don't even know something what Vedas are, right? Shrutim Grim Ringriyam, like you don't even understand, what to speak about Shad Darshan. Common people, they just don't even know. They're in big doubts, does God exist or not? Like, and if there any divine revelation, you'll hear it's Mayavad. You'll get the most amazing, the intellectual guy, and he'll tell you, oh, it's all one. And everybody's like, the guy should get a Nobel Prize, he's so deep, like you, me, you, and everybody say, oh my God, this person, how much, like, and sometimes some bogus guru would come and he would be quiet for half an hour, and everybody would say, well, but his quietness, his silence, he answers so many of my questions. and my thing would be like, you still remain fool after all. Just to conclude, so there's some inconceivable things, Ananta Shesh, which means infinite, and what's left from infinite. So Gauranga pastimes, it's although appear to be very, very simple, not like Krishna pastimes or Ramachandra pastimes, but remember, the most complicated films or books ever made, it's love stories. Because in a story where you have the revenge, the battlefield, it's very easy to bring people to watch the epic. No, it's truth. Because in epic way, there's so many ways to show you the story, the character arc, but how can you really reveal the love story? So when we're talking about Mahaprabhu, it is pure love story. There is no violence. I mean, there's very little violence. There's very little, there's very little public show. But we know Mahaprabhu is like, he's preaching to certain people, Rup Sanatan, as he's walking on the road, they're collecting dirt. Like, we know some occasions of Mahaprabhu, but rest of this Mahaprabhu inside is conversations, like conversation with Rupa Goswami, conversation with Sanatan, the Ramananda Samvad, and all. So in other words, there's a very, in movie, although you have the epic, like a great story, but the base of the movie, the base of drama is still the conversations. So we can say Krishnadas Kaviraj and Vrindavan Das Thakur, what are they revealing in Mahaprabhu pastimes is unique, and what is the conversation means is transformational conversation. Remember, Raghupati Upadhyaya, Mahaprabhu testing spiritual understanding, or then a Muslim Pathan prince coming to Mahaprabhu and becoming Pathan Vaishnava. The Rupa Shiksha, where Mahaprabhu meet with Dashashwamedha god of Prayag on Kumbh Mela. Nothing is about Kumbh Mela mentioned there. It's just mentioned Veni Madhava, but in that place where we had the fortune to be, there's an extraordinary conversation where the whole science of rasa reveal. And then later, Rupa Goswami is processing through his own heart, structuring this whole thing, revealing to Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu is super happy. Or remember, like Ramananda Samvat, what is Mahaprabhu doing there? He's speaking with one man on the Godavari River with everybody else in exile. And that conversation, which is Guru Maharaj showing us, is one of the most important theistic conversation ever spoken in the history of what who would say Manvantaras, or we can't, because you see in the Bhagavad, you get all these stories and they survive through millenniums. But if you compare the Ramananda Samvat conversation, you said nothing, although it's completely within Bhagavad logic, and Vedavyas would say, it's really, really amazing, I really appreciate, can I include this in the Bhagavad? I would think he would, but that story, right, that story is spoken by Krishnadas Kaviraj, and here's the question. Did really Ramananda Rai wrote this story back? Or did Mahaprabhu said, what, I met this Ramananda and I really talked to him? We don't know. We don't even know, just like Bhagavad Gita, been spoken by Krishna to Arjuna and heard by the blind Sanjaya and listened by other people, or the Bhagavad, you're talking about Shukadev Goswami, and then there's a, you know, Sutta Goswami, and, you know, and then there's Baladev is coming and killing Maharshini, you know, Sutta with a straw. You know, there's a whole, I mean, really, Guru Maharaj explained us this very, how to say, it's just like we speaking here and Madhusudan Maharaj hearing us in Italy. And somebody can say, well, how is it possible? He's in Italy right now, but we know, like, if you're online, everything's possible, right? So it's pretty much timeless, frameless, completely spiritually online. It's in between all the pastimes of Ramachandra, Krishna, and the Bhagavad and other scriptures. And this is what Maharaj said, cream de la cream of like the whole, I mean, I would say it's the conclusion, right? Because, you know, like Krishna Lila Amrita Sara Sata Sata Satadhar means like Krishna Lila is the conclusion. It's a conclusion of Bhagavatam. But where the Bhagavatam began, Charitamrita ends, the Charitamritas begin. It's like you would think, oh, and in conclusion, there's nothing else. No, actually, it's end of Krishna as beginning Mahaprabhu.
The Bhagavatam culminates
right
in Madhura Rasa.
Right.
And Guru Maharaj said, Chaitanya-charitamritam is an exclusively Madhura Rasa literature. Right. Right. It doesn't gradually achieve, it's that beginning, middle, and end.
Anyway, I mean, just, it would be very difficult to comment on what Maharaj has said, but, you know, through some inspiration.
This, tomorrow, the Nabadwip Dham Parikrama begins. Madhusudan Maharaj was telling us in the beginning how they would prepare at the mat. And so I just wanted to give a little ontological foundation, but tomorrow night we'll start visiting the different places.
Right, but what I'm trying to say, the base of what's an altar.
Yeah.
And you can see obviously in this altar, Mahaprabhu taking superior position.
Yes.
For some reason, you know, because in some reason Mahaprabhu competing with Radha and Krishna, but not always. Sometimes Mahaprabhu is combination of Radha and Krishna. And remember, Arjuna came with Krishna to search for the son of a Brahmana. And Arjuna said, I will challenge anybody. If your son will die, I'll go everywhere. Then Krishna said, well, unfortunately, whatever you promise, I don't think it's deliverable. But you know what? If you help me, allow me to help you, I can take you. So they took this to end of the ocean where Vishnu resigned. And what was Vishnu's answer? I have stolen that child for only one purpose, to look at your beauty. Like Vishnu said to Krishna, I had no problem sleeping in the Milky, I mean, whatever the ocean is. but hearing that you're visiting my abode, I pretty much want to have your darshan.
But also, it's a way of telling us that Krishna is not Vishnu without 4 arms. It's not that Krishna, like if we look at artist painting, we go, well, the Vishnu, it looks like Krishna, but he's got, you know. So it's a way of telling us Krishna is not marginally more beautiful than Vishnu. He's so beautiful that Vishnu wants to have a glimpse of Krishna. He's Vishnu, he wants to see Krishna. Dwarka Krishna wants to see he's astonished by the beauty of Krishna. So he's not marginally more beautiful. He's infinitely more beautiful. Therefore, the Braja Gopis, in the presence of Vishnu, who's inconceivably beautiful, they can't conceal their disappointment.
And his
Ragodaya Kunjati. Like, and they're saying, one thing we know about you is you are omniscient. So can you please tell us, where is Krishna? That we know you can do.
But you know, it's another interesting moment in that story, which connects to what we're talking.
Yes.
You know, Vishnu say like, I really have heard you stealing.
That you steal.
Right, like Vishnu say like, I heard you're not just in this world, you're stealing the yogurt and you're like stealing. So I've stolen this boy. Like I tried to, you know, pretty much do what you're doing and I couldn't succeed. Because, you know, like I've just stolen this Brahmin boy, but what you're doing, the way you're stealing, it's so beautiful that, you know, that's inconceivably beautiful. Now, how do we link this to Mahaprabhu? Remember, Mahaprabhu is not stealing, except one thing.
Well, when he's a child.
He's stealing, yes, but we're saying he's stealing people's hearts.
Yeah.
He is like, his idea is like, oh, I mean, it's more like Nityananda Prabhu, okay, if we can just like get this Jagai Madai into the devotees, then the whole world will know. And who is Jagai Madai? Their whole idea is to read the Vedas and says to kill cows, it's a sinful thing. They say, well, that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing together. You know, kill the cow and we'll fulfill our, like, remember, just like Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, all these demons, they want to turn upside down their religion. What is appeared to be sinful in scriptures, they want to glorify that and make it. And there are the conditions of Jagai Madai. Just like upside down transformation.
Jagadananda and Madhavananda.
Yeah. And you know, Madai is Samadhi.
Jagai and Madai.
Madai is Samadhi is in Katva, where Mahaprabhu takes sannyas.
Hare Krishna. And they, well, to conclude, so what was their saving grace? From Nityananda Prabhu. So how can we talk about the glories of Mahaprabhu without mentioning Nityananda Prabhu? Heino Nitai Bine Bai Radha Krishna Paitenai Nitai Koruna Habe Braje Radha Krishna Pabe. So Gurudev like to say, everyone knows Guru Maharaj is Rupa Goswami's man. And what does he mean by that? You know, the mystic transmission of the Rupa Nuga line from Saraswati Thakur to Guru Maharaj. The Rupa Nuga Dara, Guru Maharaj is carrying the current of Rupa Goswami. So Gurudev would say, everyone knows Guru Maharaj is Rupa Goswami's man. So why he's always telling, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai? As Maharaj said, quoting Kaviraj Goswami, Preme Matta Nityananda Kripa Avatar. Like we mentioned so many avatars. Imagine if you say, well, what's this? I hear the avatars, they have so many different pastimes and functions. What is the speciality of this avatar? He's the Kripa avatar. He's the mercy avatar. And what does he do? He has no consideration of who's qualified, unqualified. And what I've told is in this way. It said, connecting the first part, it says, Preme Mata. Why is he lacking in discrimination? Because he's completely intoxicated with Krishna Prem. So as an intoxicated man has no discrimination about who he just wants everyone to drink with him and be in the same intoxicated state that he's in, that everybody's his friend, right? He brings them all together and he just wants them to drink what he's drinking and experience that same feeling that he has. So we're told Nityananda, he's madly intoxicated with Krishna Prem, and he's the Kripa avatar. So he, as Guru Maharaj like to say, he's approaching everyone door to door, rolling at their feet, as we heard Gurudev, Madhusudan Maharaj quoting Gurudev at the beginning, inviting everyone, saying, I'm clasping your feet, saying, don't suffer any longer in the material world. In the same way, Guru Maharaj said, Nityananda, he's knocking on their door, falling at their feet, and begging them to accept Gauranga. You say, why? Because he knows, back to Nayananda, if you get Gauranga, you get everything. You don't need to know Sat, Darshan, the Vedas, just this one thing. Like Guru Maharaj, when they said to him, his being offered to go to the Western world and be the person who took Krishna consciousness, which Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we know, fulfilled that order. But at one point, someone was sent, they came back half converted, then Madhava Maharaj was considered, and Guru Maharaj said, but he's super handsome, and they said, the women of England, they're like apsaras. And so they said, all right, then don't send Madhava Maharaj. So ultimately they sent Goswami Maharaj, who was a householder, etc. But at one point Guru Maharaj was asked, and he said, if you insist, I will go, but my nature is such, I think there's something you want to achieve, and I may not be the best man for the job. But if you insist, Saraswati Thakur said, no, well, you're right. Well, you're the most qualified, but you don't interact. Your nature is such to not interact with others. So someone else was selected. But so some devotees came to Guru Maharaj and they said, don't you want to be that person? Don't you want to go? And Guru Maharaj said, I have no such aspiration. And he said, well, then what is your aspiration? He said, I want to be a servitor of the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. That is my only aspiration. He said, can you help me in that regard? That's how he judged any relationship. Will this take me in the direction of the holy lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu? So, Nityananda, Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gauranga Nam, begging everyone to, even though he was told by Mahaprabhu, Krishna Upadesh, Jare Dako Tari Kaho Krishna Upadesh, tell everyone about Krishna. When he leaves Puri to allow Mahaprabhu to go into his internal private pastimes with Swarup and Ramananda and the Gangbir, goes to Bengal, went Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gauranga Nam. And why? Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur gives the answer. Yata yata Gaura Padara Vinde. Because what will you discover at the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu? If you give all your energy to this one place, right? What we do? Vindeta Bhaktim Krita Punya Rasi. Remember it says Krita Punya Rasi means like Yajanti Hisu Medasa, refined theistic intellect. They will hear this, appreciate this, and follow this advice from Astasaki, Tunga Vidya, Prabodhananda Saraswati, and Gaura-lila. Krita Punya Rasi. Tata Tatot Sarpati, Ridya Kasmat. What will be the consequence of investing all your serving capital in the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu? Automatically, subconsciously, deep from within the core of your heart, Radha Padam Bodha Sudamburasi. Guru said, the Radha Rasa Shuddhanidhi will begin to flow. The Radha Dasam, the service of the holy lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, will be found there at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. So Guru Maharaj tells her, Gaura-lila is the entrance to Krishna-lila. Every atom of Nabadwip is capable of giving Vrindavan in full. The Sankirtan, the Prem Sankirtan of Mahaprabhu and his devotees is the Rasa-lila in distribution mode. Who can enter there? Lakshmi Devi couldn't enter there. The Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan is the Rasa-lila in distribution mode. Inconceivable. So, and as we heard from Narottam Thakur the other day, they say, Gauramandala Bhuvi Jeva Chintamani Mani. This Gauramandal that we will now go on the Nabadwip Dham Parikrama, every atom is Chintamani. So, I just want to, at this point, go back to our Madhusudan Maharaj for a conclusion. Madhusudan Maharaj?
Yes, Maharaj. Happily hearing every word and bathing in the Harikatar of yourself and of Maharaj.
If you can say a few concluding words for tonight, and then we can have the Kirtan.
Maharaj, indeed. So I can just say happily that we've had over 70 devotees with us consistently, means more than that, because many places there are more devotees. And we have this grand gathering, which essentially is in the Nat Mandir of Sri Chaitanya-Saraswati Mat. We're all there by heart. And we're about to start tomorrow the Nabadwip Dham Parikrama, the going place by place by place, and the specific leelas of the Lord and the devotees in different places. And so this is our preparation day. And to do something the day before a festival is part of the festival. As Gurudev said, there's something wrong on our part if we don't do something the day before in preparation and preparing our heart and mind. So yes, wonderful gathering and appreciating the presence of all the devotees. And tomorrow we'll begin with a pilgrimage to deep, first of all. So this is something to look forward to, step by step, literally on Parikrama.
Yes, Maharaj. Aye. Hari Harai Namo Krishna Yadavaya Namo. Hari Harai Namo Krishna Yadavaya Namo. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namo. Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinath Vana Namo. Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Radha Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinod. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Jai Go Jai Gori Charana Bandhan. Jaha hoite Vrindranath Abhishta Puran. Jai Go Jai Jaruni Tarada. Kantavara Padarenu Mora Panchagran. Kandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivan. Janame Janame More Yamilan. Jai Go Jai Jabe Braje Koilavan. Radha Krishna Nitya-lila Korilo Prakan. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan. Acharya Saraswati Sri Srimad Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Thakur Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Sri Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinod Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Sri Rupa Nugu guru-varga ki jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Jai Saparikar Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Jiu ki jai. Jai Saparikar Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Sundar Jiu ki jai. Sri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Govinda Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Nabadwip Dham ki jai. Sri Nabadwip Dham Parikrama ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat ki jai. Sri Gupta Govardhan ki jai. Sri Vila Govinda ki jai. Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki jai. Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Acharya Vrinda ki jai. Jai Srila Bhaktivinod Avadhut Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai. Sannyasi Vrinda ki jai. Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi ki jai. Seva Vrinda ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Jai Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Srila Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai, Shri Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gurudev ki jai.
Vanchakaupatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Jai. Thams Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Devashish Prabhu, our London Mat Secretary. Dandavat. Hare Krishna. And all the assembled Vaishnavas. Sachi Sutta Prabhu. Dandavat. Madhurani Didi. Dandavat. Supriya. Hare Krishna. In China. Dandavat. Banavi Didi. And Roma, I assume. Yes. Hare Krishna. And the two of you together. Dandavat. Sri Hari Prabhu in Brazil, Dandavat. Chaitanya Nitai Prabhu in Vrindavan, Dandavat. Devananda Prabhu, Dandavat. Jiva Nadiri, Dandavat. Vrivda Didi. Is this your mom? Yeah. All right. Kalindi Priya's mom in Nizhny Novgorod, Dandavat. Govinda Nandini Didi in Moscow, Dandavat. Seva Rupa Devi and UAE, all right, Dandavat. Sandipita, Sada Hridaya Khandare. You heard the verse, right? Sandipita, with Maheshri Didi and Janvi, Dandavat. In New Delhi, Malini Didi and Orsk, Dandavat. Suresh Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Anindita Didi, Dandavat. Leela Sundar Prabhu, Dandavat. Yuteswari in Zaporozhye, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Lakshmi Priya Didi in Kiev, Dandavat. Lakshmana. You changed everything? In St. Petersburg, Dandavat. Gaurachandrapu and Nadhotka, Dandavat. Pavel Brun in Moscow, Dandavat. Indumukhi and Mitravinda. Jai, Mitravinda Devi Dasi. She's our newest member. But she's actually been listening to Gaur Katha and Krishna Katha for the last 9 months inside her mom. Now she's out in the world, out and about, as it were, ready for her first Nabadwip Dham Parikrama. That's a good way to start life, actually. Yes. Who else? Ashapurna Didi, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Praneshri Didi, Dandavat. Udaran Prabhu, Dandavat. Tungarasa Didi, Dandavat. Ajita in Kaselni, Dandavat. Rama Ratan in Milano, Dandavat. Ira in Russia, Dandavat. Who else? See if I miss anyone. that says Madhavilata. Whoops. Oh, okay. Dandavat Didi. Ananta Shesh Prabhu in Spain. Dandavat. Lila Sundar, we said. Anyone? Shyamala Didi. Dandavat. Where? Krishna Mohini Didi. Dandavat. Yes. Nadia Priya and Harkiv. Dandavat. Dhananjaya Prabhu. Dandavat. Ananda Niketan. Dandavat. Chandrakanti and China, Dandavat, Ajitasa and Ors, Dandavat, Prafula Krishna. Sometimes in Brazil, sometimes in other places. Hare Krishna. Malika, Didi Dandavat. Anyone else? Is that everyone? All right. Pavan Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat, Shanti Mohi, Dandavat. Madhavilata and Odessa Dandavat, Raga Lekadidi Dandavat, Yaru Dandavat, Vijayananda Dandavat, Ragamohi Dandavat, Bhakti Sevan Rishikesh Maharaj Dandavat, Nityananda is here, Rasananda Prabhu Dandavat. I think that's everyone. Hare Krishna. Nadia Priya Dandavat. Now, Vanchakalpa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevata Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.